They were two girls living in different worlds, one surrounded by the quiet comforts of suburbia, the other immersed in the glittering buzz of city life. They had no reason to believe their lives were connected, no clue that the faint, unshakable feeling of something missing wasn't just their imagination. But all it took was a single moment, a chance encounter in a bustling supermarket, to shatter everything they thought they knew. Staring into a pair of eyes identical to their own, Emma and Lily discovered a secret that would change their lives forever. They weren't strangers. They were twins, and their journey to uncover the truth was only just beginning. The late autumn wind howled against the windows of Mercy General Hospital, where a young woman named Abigail lay in her hospital bed, staring at the ceiling. She had just given birth to two beautiful, identical girls, their tiny cries filling the room. The sight of them had brought tears to her eyes, but they weren't tears of joy. They were tears of heartbreak. Abigail had made the hardest decision of her life, to place her daughters for adoption. Abigail was only 19, barely making ends meet with a part-time job at a diner, and no family to support her. She wanted more for her daughters, a life she knew she couldn't provide. It pained her, but she convinced herself it was the right choice. She kissed each girl softly on the forehead, whispering the names she had chosen for them, Emma and Lily. "I love you both more than anything," she said, her voice breaking. "I hope you'll find happiness." 2 days later, the adoption agency arrived, taking the babies to their foster care facility. Unbeknownst to Abigail, a clerical error would set her daughters on two very different paths. Emma's adoptive parents, the Johnsons, had been waiting for years to adopt. Margaret and David Johnson were a kind-hearted couple who lived in the suburbs of a neighboring town. Unable to have children of their own, they had long dreamed of welcoming a child into their modest but loving home. When they received the call that a newborn baby girl was available, they were overjoyed. The Johnsons brought Emma into their cozy world of bedtime stories, homemade cookies, and lazy Sunday afternoons. Their home wasn't extravagant, but it was filled with warmth. Margaret, a part-time librarian, loved to read Emma fairy tales, and David, a mechanic, built her a wooden easel where she spent hours drawing butterflies in bright colors. Emma grew up as a creative and imaginative child, her artwork often covering the refrigerator. Though she was happy, she sometimes felt a nagging emptiness she couldn't explain, as if a piece of her was missing. Meanwhile, in the bustling city, Lily was adopted by the Carters, an affluent couple who lived in a sleek penthouse apartment. Catherine Carter was a successful lawyer, and her husband, James, was an architect. They had chosen adoption after several failed attempts at conceiving and were thrilled to bring Lily into their world. Lily's life was one of privilege. She attended private schools, had piano lessons with renowned instructors, and spent summers traveling to places Emma could only dream of. Catherine ensured Lily's schedule was packed with opportunities, from ballet classes to science camps. James designed a playroom just for her, complete with a grand piano and a wall-sized chalkboard. Yet, beneath the shine of her life, Lily occasionally felt out of place. She often found herself staring into the mirror, wondering why she always felt a strange pull towards something, or someone, she couldn't identify. Her favorite pastime was drawing butterflies, though she couldn't recall why they fascinated her so much. Years passed, and the twins unknowingly continued their separate lives. Emma's days were filled with trips to the local park, helping her dad fix old bikes and making art in her bedroom. Lily's were spent mastering Chopin on the piano, attending charity galas with her parents, and excelling in her academics. They shared so many quirks that neither realized were uncommon. Both had an inexplicable love for peanut butter and banana sandwiches. Both hated the sound of balloons popping, and both carried the same habit of twirling a lock of hair when deep in thought. Their lives should have been content, yet the same question haunted them both in quiet moments. Why do I feel like something is missing? On their 13th birthday, that invisible thread connecting them seemed to tug harder than ever. Emma celebrated with a homemade cake and a small gathering of her closest friends in the Johnsons' backyard. As she blew out the candles, she silently wished for answers to the strange emptiness she often felt. Across the city, Lily's birthday party was a grand affair at a fancy restaurant. Surrounded by elegant decor and dozens of guests, she smiled and posed for pictures, but her mind was elsewhere. She wished for something too, though she couldn't put it into words. At that moment, miles apart, both girls whispered the same silent question. Why does it feel like I'm not whole? Neither Emma nor Lily could have guessed how close they were to discovering the truth. The adoption agency had failed to inform their adoptive parents about their twin, leaving both families in blissful ignorance. For 13 years, the girls had lived parallel lives, their shared quirks and interests like tiny breadcrumbs scattered across their paths. Fate, however, was not done with them. It waited patiently, biding its time until the day their paths would finally cross. That day was closer than anyone could have imagined, and when it came, it would unravel secrets that would change their lives forever. For now, though, Emma continued sketching butterflies on her easel, while Lily perfected a piano sonata in her penthouse. Two separate beginnings, two separate lives. But the invisible thread connecting them was about to pull taut. Destiny was ready to step in. Emma Johnson's world was defined by its simplicity and charm. Her small suburban neighborhood was a patchwork of tidy lawns, white picket fences, and friendly faces. Every morning, Emma would wake up to the scent of pancakes wafting from the kitchen, where her mom, Margaret, was always ready with a warm smile. Weekends meant trips to the local library, where Margaret worked part-time, and afternoons spent helping her dad, David, in his cluttered workshop. Emma had an insatiable imagination. She spent hours sketching in her notebook, her favorite subjects always butterflies. There was something magical about their delicate wings, the way they seemed to flutter between worlds. She often imagined they carried secrets, answers to questions she didn't yet know how to ask. At school, Emma was a quiet but well-liked girl. She excelled in art class, where her teachers often praised her for her creativity. She wasn't the most outgoing, but she had a small circle of close friends who shared her love for nature and storytelling. Life was happy, but deep down, Emma felt a faint tug, an unspoken question that lingered in her heart. Lily Carter's life couldn't have been more different. In the heart of the city, the Carters' sleek penthouse overlooked glittering skyscrapers and bustling streets below. Lily's days were meticulously planned, her calendar filled with piano lessons, math tutoring, and etiquette classes. Her adoptive parents, Catherine and James, adored her, but they were firm believers in structure and discipline. Catherine often told Lily, "You're capable of anything if you put in the effort." James, though quieter, showed his love through actions, designing her an art studio when he noticed her interest in drawing and teaching her how to play chess. Despite their busy schedules, they always made time to attend her recitals and cheer her on at academic competitions. Unlike Emma, Lily was outspoken and ambitious. She thrived in her rigorous private school, where she led the debate team and consistently earned top grades. But there was a part of her that felt restless, a quiet yearning she couldn't define. At night, when the city lights sparkled outside her window, Lily often sketched butterflies. She had no idea why she felt so drawn to them. They seemed to whisper something familiar, something just out of reach. Though their lives were vastly different, Emma and Lily shared more than anyone could have guessed. Both girls had an unspoken bond with their art, finding solace in the act of creating. Both had an almost obsessive love for peanut butter and banana sandwiches, a habit that baffled their parents. And both carried an inexplicable sense of longing, as if their hearts were searching for something, or someone, they had yet to meet. Emma's parents noticed her occasional daydreams and moments of sadness, but chalked it up to teenage emotions. Margaret often reassured her, saying, "You're special, Emma. Never forget that." But Emma couldn't shake the feeling that special wasn't the right word. It felt more like incomplete. In the Carter household, Catherine and James didn't notice Lily's quiet moments of introspection. Her achievements overshadowed any signs of inner turmoil. Lily herself buried those feelings, throwing herself into her busy schedule. She convinced herself that success would fill whatever void she felt. On the rare occasions when Emma's family visited the city or Lily's family ventured into the countryside, the twins unknowingly passed each other. Once, during a summer carnival, Emma had pointed out a girl on the carousel, saying, "She looks just like me." But David laughed it off, saying, "She's just another kid with brown hair, Em." Emma let it go, though the memory lingered. Similarly, Lily once saw a girl who looked eerily like her in a small-town bakery. "Mom, does that girl look like me?" she asked Catherine, who barely glanced up from her phone. "Don't be silly, darling. You're one of a kind." As their 13th birthdays approached, the feeling of something missing grew stronger in both girls. Emma spent more time at her easel, drawing intricate patterns of butterfly wings that felt strangely familiar. Lily, too, found herself daydreaming during her piano lessons, her thoughts drifting to things she couldn't explain. Neither could have predicted how close they were to uncovering the truth. Though they had grown up worlds apart, their lives were beginning to align, like two trains on parallel tracks heading for the same destination. One day, a seemingly ordinary event would become the catalyst for their reunion. Margaret suggested a family outing to the city, eager to explore a supermarket renowned for its organic produce and unique items. Meanwhile, Catherine decided to host a dinner party and sent Lily along with James to pick up last-minute groceries. As Emma climbed into the back seat of the family car, she had no idea her life was about to change forever. Lily, pushing a cart through the aisles of the bustling supermarket, felt a faint sense of anticipation she couldn't explain. Destiny, it seemed, was ready to make its move. The air inside the bustling supermarket was filled with the sounds of shopping carts squeaking, conversations buzzing, and the faint hum of overhead music. Emma walked alongside her parents, pushing their cart through the aisles. The bright fluorescent lights reflected off the polished floors, and the scent of freshly baked bread wafted from the bakery section. It was an ordinary outing, one that Emma had reluctantly agreed to, preferring instead to stay home and finish a new drawing she had started. "Emma, can you grab a jar of peanut butter?" Margaret asked, scanning the shelves for the organic jam she loved. "Sure," Emma replied, veering toward the snack aisle. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Lily trailed behind her father, James, as they navigated the same supermarket. She wasn't thrilled about this errand. There were far more exciting things she could be doing, but Catherine had insisted they prepare for the dinner party meticulously. James handed Lily the shopping list, and she sighed, scanning the items. "Peanut butter," she muttered, turning into the same aisle as Emma. The two girls reached for the same jar of peanut butter at the exact same moment. Their hands brushed, and both froze, looking up in shock. For a second, neither of them spoke, their identical brown eyes locking in stunned silence. Sorry," Lily said, her voice a mixture of confusion and politeness. "No, it's okay," Emma replied, pulling her hand back. They stood there, staring at each other, their minds struggling to process what they were seeing. It was like looking into a mirror, but with subtle differences. Lily's hair was styled in a neat braid, while Emma's was loose and wavy. Their outfits were different too, with Emma wearing a simple hoodie and jeans while Lily sported a preppy blouse and skirt. Yet their faces were unmistakably the same. "Mom!" Emma called, her voice tinged with urgency. "Dad!" Lily called at almost the exact same moment. Their parents approached from opposite ends of the aisle, and the moment their eyes landed on the two girls, their expressions mirrored the twins' shock. "Oh my goodness," Margaret whispered, clutching David's arm. "She looks just like Emma." Catherine and James stopped in their tracks, their faces pale. "Lily," Catherine said, her voice faltering, "who is this girl?" The two families stood there in stunned silence, the noise of the supermarket fading into the background. Emma and Lily, still staring at each other, felt a strange mix of excitement and fear. This can't be real," David finally said, breaking the silence. Margaret stepped forward, her eyes darting between the girls. You look identical. Are you twins?" Emma and Lily turned to each other, their mouths slightly open. They didn't have to answer. The truth was written all over their faces. The families quickly moved to the cafe area of the supermarket, needing a quieter place to talk. Over steaming cups of coffee and hot chocolate, the story began to unfold. The girls' birth dates were identical, as were the records of their birthplace, Mercy General Hospital. As the details aligned, it became impossible to deny what was happening. "This has to be some kind of mistake," Catherine said, her voice trembling. Lily was adopted. The agency never said anything about a sibling. "Emma was adopted too," Margaret said softly. "They told us she was the only child." The realization hit them all at once. The adoption agency had never informed either family about the twins' existence, separating them at birth without anyone's knowledge. Meanwhile, Emma and Lily had begun talking quietly, comparing notes. "Do you love drawing butterflies?" Lily asked, her voice hesitant but hopeful. Emma's eyes widened. "It's my favorite thing. I draw them all the time. Do you?" "Yeah. And peanut butter with bananas. Please tell me you like that." Emma let out a laugh, her nervousness fading. "I have it for lunch almost every day." Their parents looked on, their shock slowly giving way to awe as they watched the girls bond over their shared quirks. By the time they left the supermarket, plans were already being made. The families exchanged contact information and agreed to meet again soon, determined to figure out how to move forward. As they walked to their cars, Emma turned to Lily. "This feels crazy, but it also feels right," she said. Lily nodded, her smile growing. "Yeah, like we've been waiting for this without even knowing it." Their parents, though still reeling, couldn't deny the connection between the girls. As the Johnsons drove back to the suburbs and the Carters returned to their penthouse, both families knew their lives had changed forever. The two girls, once strangers, were now sisters, reunited by the most unexpected twist of fate. But this was only the beginning of their story. Destiny had brought them together, but navigating the complexities of their newfound bond would require patience, understanding, and above all, love. The following weekend, the Johnsons and the Carters met again, this time in a quieter setting, a small park midway between their homes. It was a sunny afternoon, the kind where the crisp air carried the faint scent of autumn leaves and children's laughter rang out from a nearby playground. Emma and Lily sat together on a picnic blanket, their identical faces lighting up as they talked nonstop. Their parents stood a few feet away, deep in conversation, still trying to process the life-altering discovery. "I just can't believe this," Margaret said, shaking her head. "How could the adoption agency not tell us about the other twin?" "I've been wondering the same thing," Catherine replied, her tone edged with frustration. "They had to have known. Twins aren't something you just forget." James, who had been scrolling through his phone, finally spoke. "I've been looking up the adoption agency. It seems they closed down years ago. We may never get the full story." David sighed. "That's infuriating. But right now, the most important thing is these girls. They deserve answers. And each other." Meanwhile, Emma and Lily were lost in their own world. "So, you really don't like chocolate ice cream either?" Emma asked, wide-eyed. "Nope. It's way too sweet," Lily replied, laughing. "I thought I was the only one." Emma grinned. "This is so weird, but in the best way. I can't believe I have a sister." "A twin sister?" Lily nodded, her expression growing thoughtful. "It feels like everything makes sense now, doesn't it? Like that missing piece is finally here." They sat in silence for a moment, both marveling at the newfound completeness they felt. Despite their vastly different upbringings, their connection felt effortless, as if no time had passed since their separation. Their parents eventually joined them on the blanket, holding cups of steaming coffee from a nearby cafe. Margaret spoke first, her voice gentle. "Girls, we've been talking, and we think it's important to learn more about your history. We might not get all the answers, but we want to try." "What do you mean?" Emma asked, her brows furrowing. Catherine leaned forward. "We've already looked into the adoption agency. Unfortunately, it shut down years ago. But your birth records might still be accessible. If you're ready, we could start there." Emma and Lily exchanged a glance, a silent conversation passing between them. Finally, Lily nodded. "We want to know everything." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of research and phone calls. Both families worked together, piecing together the twins' origins like a puzzle. They requested records from the hospital where Emma and Lily were born and tracked down old documents from the adoption agency through a local archive. What they uncovered was both heartbreaking and infuriating. The agency had split the twins deliberately, deciding it would be easier to place them in separate homes. There were no legal repercussions due to the agency's closure, but the discovery only strengthened the family's resolve to ensure the girls would never be apart again. During this time, Emma and Lily grew closer with every meeting. They spent hours talking, comparing childhood stories, and laughing over their shared quirks. They even started attending art classes together, where their mutual love for drawing butterflies flourished. Though their parents lived in different worlds, the twins made it clear they wanted to be in each other's lives every day. "We've missed so much time already," Emma said one afternoon as they sat on her bedroom floor sketching. "I don't want to miss any more." "Me neither," Lily agreed, adding a delicate swirl to the wings of her butterfly. "It's crazy how different our lives are, though. It's like we're the same person, but with completely opposite stories." Emma smiled. "Yeah, but I like that. It makes us us." For their parents, the transition was a delicate balancing act. Catherine and James were used to a fast-paced, high-society lifestyle, while Margaret and David valued simplicity and quiet moments. There were occasional tensions, like when Catherine suggested a private tutor for Emma, which Margaret politely declined. But both families were determined to make it work. "We may come from different places," Margaret said one evening during a family dinner. "But what matters is that we're here now." For Emma and Lily, David raised his glass. "To family, however it comes together." "To family," James echoed, his voice soft but sincere. The girls' bond grew deeper as they navigated their new reality. They began to share everything: secrets, dreams, fears. Emma taught Lily how to fix a bike in her dad's workshop, while Lily introduced Emma to the joys of playing the piano. Each girl brought a piece of her world into the others, creating something entirely new and unique. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were moments of frustration, like when Emma felt overwhelmed by the structure of Lily's life, or when Lily struggled to adjust to Emma's more laid-back approach to things. Yet, no argument ever lasted long. Their bond, built on years of unspoken connection, was too strong to be shaken. As the chapter closed, one thing was clear: Emma and Lily were no longer just two girls living separate lives. They were sisters, twins, and best friends. And though their journey had been shaped by loss and separation, they were determined to face the future together. One step, one sketch, and one butterfly at a time. The day Emma and Lily received the DNA test results felt surreal. Though they already knew in their hearts what the truth would be, seeing it written in black and white made it undeniable. The test confirmed what everyone suspected: Emma and Lily were identical twins. The families gathered at the Johnsons' home that evening. The cozy living room was a stark contrast to the gravity of the conversation. Margaret had baked cookies, their comforting scent filling the air, but no one touched them. All eyes were on the papers spread across the coffee table, detailing the results of the DNA test and the adoption records. "It's official," James said, his voice heavy. "You're sisters. Twins." Emma and Lily exchanged a glance, their identical brown eyes shimmering with a mixture of excitement and sadness. While the revelation brought clarity, it also brought questions, many of which would remain unanswered. As they delved deeper into the adoption records, the families uncovered the unsettling truth. The agency had deliberately separated the girls, citing a belief that placing siblings together was logistically difficult. The decision had been made without consulting or informing the adoptive parents, leaving both families in the dark. "I can't believe this," Catherine said, her voice tight with anger. "How could they think it was okay to separate them? To not even tell us?" "It's infuriating," Margaret agreed, her hands clenched in her lap. "We would have adopted both of them if we'd known." David nodded. "Same here." They robbed the girls of 13 years together. James, usually the calmest in the group, sighed deeply. "There's nothing we can do to change the past, but we can focus on the future." For Emma and Lily, the truth was both a relief and a burden. They now understood why they had always felt like something was missing, but the knowledge of their separation left them grappling with a mix of emotions.